What a boy.
It's Kieran. uh, Tony's a cunt.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport. We are back for another season of Pro-Am action. If you thought the dramas of the Hungaroring last night was enough to whet your appetite, the GT3s take to the Budapest circuit here in Hungary. The Hungaroring is our destination for rounds 1 and 2 of the season. Excuse me. This is going to be an interesting one to see what happens this season and this time around. I'm your host, Mathew Duffin, joined in the commentary box once again by Gray Langley. Gray, last night was a remarkable night of racing in the Hungaroring Cup GT4 series. We get to do it all again tonight for the Pro-Ams in what is a very, very different looking grid. A lot of different cars, Bentleys, Nissans, Porsches. Lack of McLarens we're seeing this.
And not to put it shortly, we've already had a crash on the outlaps for a couple drivers. I'm literally just watching it. I think it's Bedison and looked like a Ferrari. Not sure which Ferrari. It was a red Ferrari, or at least a red car. In that case, I think it was Jerome Lander. In that case, that was a interesting crash. But yes, we had a great night last night. We were lucky enough to get 2 races with rain and a qualifying session with rain, and that put the Ginetta as the class of the field. Not necessarily the class of the field for the season. I think we still have a lot to build on over this season, but so good to be back for Pro-Am night, GT3s, and our bread and butter as it comes to commentating this Pro-Am championship over the last couple seasons now. And yeah, a bit light on McLarens, which is a bit shocking, but Sam in the same car that he was last year, so I think maybe how he ended the season last year, maybe you can continue that momentum. Kneebone back on the grid after taking a season off, and a lot of names returning and a lot of new names, and I love to see the amount of Porsches on the grid this year. Yeah. It's more than we've had in a few seasons.
It is. It's fantastic to see. Let's run you through the grid then. As Langley's just said, Sam Williams returns in his McLaren, but no longer running the Team Audio Sport car. He will be partnered once again by Andrew Taylor. The runners-up in the Constructors' Championship last season are under the new name of Cloud9 Racing for this year, being obviously ran by Jamal Clouden, who is a very good driver in this McLaren. Excuse me. And it's going to be interesting to see what he can get these boys to do out there on the grid. Andrew Taylor not here tonight. He's recently moved house, so he will be back next time around as he's getting his internet installed at the weekend. Mirko Ricci returns after a couple of seasons back out with the Ricci Corsas team. He's in a Lamborghini. Great to see him back out on the circuit, and he is being teamed with Phil Atherton in the Ricci's Corsa team as well this season. He returns to the McLaren after a year in the Lamborghini, so we'll see what he can do. Kieran Argent is currently third on the grid, the man who took that surprise pole position back at Alton Park in the second qualifying of the opening round last season. He returns back in his BMW where he feels comfortable, and back at his old name where he's won multiple Constructors' Championships back in the day, the last time being with Holty on the very first season of ACC we did. He returns with Tanner Kneebone, as Langley was saying, makes his return back to the series in what I think is a lovely looking BMW livery on that car. We then have Mike Hunt, who is back with 4Q Motorsport. He is stuck with the same pairing and the same team name, but a change of cars for 4Q. Him and Sam Greaves have gone back into the BMW M4s as they try to tackle and regain their Constructors' Championship. Diego Flores, he's an independent driver this season from the Greasy Bandit stable. No teammate for him, he's running independent. Cherry Moore is for the Vanguard race team in this series. I'm just going to go down one by one as drivers keep changing with qualifying laps at the moment. Steve Millington returns, defending Constructors' Champion with Gary Leach for another season. Sturrock is back in his Mercedes as an independent. Really looking forward to see what he can do this year. Wolski in the Greasy Bandits car, teamed with the relegated Stardog to Pro-Am. What can the Greasy Bandits team do this time out? A team that has got a good partnership and a good set of legs under them that I think could be one to watch in this championship season for the team's championship indeed. Page is back for the Page's racing team in bronze. Malarex is in the Vanguard race team with that of Cherry Moore. 2 bronze contenders, and Malarex has dropped the Aston Martin and found himself a Porsche to try and tackle the Pro-Am this year in that bronze category. Luke Waste is back as an independent in his Ferrari. Paul Williams in the black and blue Aston Martin now. He's got rid of his McLaren for an Aston Martin. There is Gary Leach returning once again. Old Tim Racer is back in the Infinity Racing team with Scott Unsworth. He's driving the beast itself, the Bentley, this afternoon. What will he be able to do? Dronelander is another man who returns as a independent. Jamie Lee is back as well as an independent. Neil Broom is Team GBR, making the change from the Team Aspire car, I think it was last year, into that Greasy Bandit stable. He's staying with Privet for this season. And another team that is coming back, same cars and same team lineup, same team name, Team Merlot, Brian Craig, and that then of Mark Tucker. Rob Smith in the Billy No Mates Nissan as it comes across the start line to find a bit more pace. Peckman is down as the Balkan Sim-Up team. He didn't put it with his livery, so that is why it's down as independent on this screen. We'll get that sorted for next week. He has messaged us since. There is Stardog in his Porsche. There is Tucker. Taylor is teaming with Gabino for the FRL Racing team, but Gabino not here tonight. Bettison in an Aston Martin. He's got rid of the Lexus. Simcoe returns as an independent. Lino is also there. And then there is Nebo and Unsworth. And Tyler DeBlock back once again. It is currently Mirko Ricci 0.4 of a second clear of Sam in this qualifying session so far, Langley. With 2 minutes to go, drivers really need to make sure they're getting some last good laps in.
Yeah, they do. Two names I'm keeping an eye on right now. Lino, runner-up in last year's championship, no lap time set. 31st, Tanner Nebo, no lap time set. Down in 33rd, they will need to get a lap time in. I've been watching Nebo to see if he put a time up, and he hasn't on that one. So if he doesn't put a lap time up this lap, he'll only get one more shot at it. And two other names, Unsworth and DeBlock, still have not set a lap time as well. Some quick drivers down there that haven't set lap times. And even though it's just for a sprint race in this case round, it is not going to be fun starting that far back.
It isn't at all. While you were saying that, we've had Wolski go into second place. So Wolski's moved up into P number 2. Here comes Gary Leach running the gold on the wheels this season for him and Steve to mark their constructors' win. And Gary goes from 20th up into P14. There's a gaggle of cars coming through. One is Hunt. We'll go on to Hunt because I can't quite make out the numbers of the two in front of him. One was the Aston Martin of Flores, who pulls to the outside line because he's invalidated his lap. The other is Rob Smith. See if we can see that Nissan move up the standings. And Hunt stays in P number 5. The 59 of Steve Millington, defending Constructors Champion, is coming through. Remember as well, this season that Richard Bettison makes that step up into the silver category after winning bronze. As Steve Millington to the line, no improvement for him. So Bettison finds himself in that harder category, Langley. He finds himself in that silver category, and it's going to be interesting to see what he can do as Nebo crosses the line and still no lap time on the board.
This will be his last chance to set a lap time. I think he needs to get out of his mind that he needs to go quickest and just get a valid lap time in.
Another man making the step up from bronze to silver is Sturrock with that phenomenal pace he showed last season, Langley, in that Mercedes-Benz. He makes the jump up into the silver categories. Here comes Wolski. Will get one more run in at this and crosses the line with no improvement there. So it's going to be interesting to see what Bettison and what Sturrock can do. Stardog down from Pro. He's the only driver to come down. And Privet, I believe, Broom was the driver who got relegated from silver into that bronze category. Drivers coming towards the end of their laps now to finish their final flying times. I'm going to try and pick up the 23 of Tucker, who's coming around the final corner, before we'll try and find the 159 of Nuke Waste. Tucker stays 23rd. Nuke Waste comes towards the line now. He moves up into P15, so a good lap for him there, knocking Gary Leach down to 16th place. Gary, though, improves back up to 15th, 1.5 off the pace at the moment. Gary will be disappointed with that qualifying session. Here comes Hunt towards the line before the 94 of Sam Williams. Tight up the top, half a second separating the top 4. Here comes Hunt towards the line. Does he improve? He does. Goes within 4 tenths. Sam Williams takes pole by half a second at the death, and we're already kicking off the season with Sam Williams doing what he left off last season.
Yeah, he's picking it up right where he left off last season. The two Forever Racing cars are coming, or Forever Ford Racing cars coming around the final corner right now. Will Nebo get a time on the board?
No, he doesn't.
He does not, and that means P34.
Yeah, a bit of a shock for Nebo, and that will be, I'm sure, he's Gone to get a good lap in and hasn't at the end. We're going to try and pick up the 63. As the 63 is... Can't find the 63. It's probably now finished his lap time. It was Privet. Who's the 107? That is... Oh, we've got to learn new names and new numbers. That is Wolski, and Wolski does not take pole position, so we didn't get to see the last final cars cross the line. But yes, Debo not getting a lap time in. Williams taking that first pole, and Page taking the pole in the bronze category as well. But it was also Richard Bettison who didn't put a lap time in. Good evening to Tanner in the chat. Clawble, Craig Stothard, Bert Cairns, and Wainwright, as well as Tips as well. And Bert saying, where's the rain? The rain was only forecast for tonight. There is no rain forecast at all for today. So yeah, so it's been an interesting one. But already, we're seeing Sam Williams kind of continue that momentum that he had last season into this season. But he qualified well a lot of the times last year, Langley. Can he now convert some of these pole positions into race wins?
I actually want to point something out. You were watching up and down the grid. I was watching Kneebone, and it did not look like he invalidated his lap. It did not look like he went off the track, yet he did not set a lap time. I just asked him personally, where did you invalidate? And he said he didn't. The game wasn't letting him post a time. So we already have a present game issue first race, so let's clap it up for ACC, everybody.
Yeah, give it its props already. Where are you lying on this one, Langley? Who are you going for the race win?
I think Williams, picking up where he was last season, I think he has the best pace in this Pro-Am class, but just like last season, we talk about the consistency. Can he keep that consistency down? Can he minimize the mistakes that he had last season? If so, I think he has a strong chance, not only at the championship, but this pair race wins tonight.
Yeah, it will be an interesting one to keep our eyes on what Williams can do before they get ready to go around on the formation lap. Let's bring you the Season 10 calendar. We didn't bring it you last night because this season, Langley, there's something a little different, isn't there? We've got the normal format. Sturrock's missed the start, so he will start from the pit lane promoting everybody up a spot. So we've got the normal formats for Hungaroring, the night race of Brands Hatch next week. We then head to one of the 2 new races for this season, just a one-off 90-minute race in which the points are times 1.5 points. So you will score an extra few points for just the one race in that round. That'll be at Kyle Army for week 3. So we spoke about it in them fun events, Langley. The 90-minute races are going to be huge for drivers' mental concentration as well as physical concentration. But early on, to get one in the 3rd week, straight after a night race, you've got the concentration of the night race of Brands Hatch of all tracks, and then we head to the really wide Kyle Army for a 90-minute race. It's a tough start to the season.
Definitely is, and it should test the drivers. And we'll see who can get out to a good start. We saw Benny Varga last year. He wasn't dominant through the season, but he was dominant with consistency. And the first rounds, he won a pair of races, and then I don't think he won again until round 8. But the consistency rattled off that championship for him, and back up to pro this year. But we'll see who can get out to that jump this year. If Williams can get out to that jump this year, it's going to be very hard to catch him. And obviously, Wolski's also picking up where he was last year, top 3 again in qualifying. The 4Q cars look much more improved than last year's running in the Porsche, now in the BM. And it's good to see Michael Johnson up there, up in P4, using that Porsche to its specialty. Very good qualifying from him, so we'll see what he can do tonight.
Indeed we will. The rest of the calendar then is Watkins Glen to end February. We head to Laguna Seca for the halfway stage. Indianapolis, the evening race, will be the second 90-minute race at Indianapolis in mid-March. Imola will round out the end of March, the last week of March. The last day of March and the beginning of April will be at Valencia for the penultimate round, and the morning race will be at our home of Donington Park for week number 10. So that is your calendar for this season. The pros will be taking to the track tonight. The pros have the same calendar. The only thing the 90-minute race doesn't count for is that Who Darren Cup. They will be the two races of half an hour with no pit stops. Remember, here it is a 25-second fixed time for pit stops, so it'll be interesting to see what strategy these guys play in that 90-minute race, but also here tonight, because it's cooler than last night. It's only 19 degrees, but this track will wear through the tyres, so will the drivers risk that extra 5 seconds to take tyres? We're about to find out, Langley. You're going for Sam for the race win. I'm looking no further than Mirko Ricci. He has put the time in this week, since we've had the Hungaroring on the server, to being absolutely on this one with the practice. His brother has, who's back for tomorrow night. So this is going to be an absolute interesting race for me to see what's going to happen here. They come to the line now, though, and for the first time in the Pro-Am Championship, we are green and go here at the Hungaroring. Mirko Ricci's already got a nose in front, and Wolski's also coming with them in towards turn one. It gets a little narrow as they come down into the braking zone. Ricci fully in front, Sam nearly into the back of him. Ricci goes a little deep, maybe did tap the back of him there, or did Ricci just brake in case Sam brake late in case Sam missed his braking? But Sam's now well back into the lead here. It all looks good in the background as well. Doesn't look like we've had any yellow flags. Sturrock is out the pits, and here comes Johnson looking up the inside on that of Hunt. Through turn number 2, there you go, and he's going to be on the outside line now, loving the same colours as the Nissan, but now on the Porsche. It's looking mighty fine indeed, and it is great to see, as Langley said earlier on, so many Porsches on the grid, and they all fly through sector 1, Langley, for a good clean start, 4 corners in. As I say that, a yellow flag has just appeared on the screen for the 333 car of Brian Craig, who's got some heavy damage, but he'll be glad there's no pit window.
Yeah, it looked like an overall clean start going up and down the grid. Watching right now, I mean, there's a ton of action with all these cars. It's always great to see this first race, a packed grid of cars and a bunch of racing up and down the field.
It is indeed, as Unsworth's just lost out to Page, and he's coming under pressure from Jamie Lee through the middle sector. Lee's just had a snap, and he's tapped Unsworth. Round he goes, stays out the wall, and now Dronelander's hit it to the side of Lee, and Dronelander's gone around. So that great start has all gone horribly wrong in the middle sector. That has put Malarex up a couple of spots. Lee's lost out, but it's also promoted to Block and others up at least 2 spots because of Unsworth and Dronelander going around here then. Brian Craig is no longer dead last. Who's had in front of him? Sturrock has he come out the pit lane. Phil looks like he's had a moment. Paul Williams has got damage on his car. Dronelander we know has had a moment. Bettison's got damage on his car. Brian Craig we know has had a moment as well. And Unsworth leading the pack of all the drivers who have fell foul at the moment. Lino into the pits. He didn't do this enough last season. Is he now applying that Benny Varga strategy to get out the traffic early?
Would make the most sense, and it should do him well. The 2 BMs of Wolski and Hunt fighting down into turn 2. Ricci looked to get the much better start, but way too deep on the brakes in turn 1, lap 1, and that gave up that position. But he is now reapplying the pressure to Sam Williams. Got back up his rear into turn 1 this lap, but again, went a little deep, so it needs to be easy on those brakes. It'll come to him.
Yeah, indeed it will. We're watching the Pages Racing team car on the back of Gary Leach for 10th place. Gary's dropped to 2nd off the back of Stardog already. Your running order is Williams from Ricci from Wolski. Your top 3 with Hunt and Johnson P4 and 5. Greaves, Argent, Millington, Stardog, Leach round out the top 10. And if we drop back down to Cherry Moore as well, he's in the thick of a fight with Flores behind him and Jamie Lee just in front. The big Bentley is back on the grid this year with Gary Oldsim piloting that one. He's got Nuke Waste for company behind. And then the only drivers to pit, Lino pitted, Kneebone pitted, Privet pitted, Broom and Dronelander all pitted. So other drivers with damage haven't necessarily got into the box just yet. As Johnson makes a late dive up the inside of Hunt. That's for P4. That's a good move from Johnson. Just enough of a gap there on the inside line. And Johnson will bite your hand off to take that one. He moves up into P4 now.
That's a great move, and yeah, I do want to keep an eye on the ones that have pitted. Kneebone gained, I believe, 13 positions on that first lap and still decided to pit. So, taking no prisoners from being screwed over by the game, and we will see Lino, remember, runner-up in last year's championship. We'll see if Hunt now can make a move back on Johnson. He has the straight line speed on the straight, goes a little deep into turn 1. Johnson does the up and under, and will keep that position going into turn 2.
He might not. because Hunt's come back onto the circuit side by side. Johnson got a nose in front, and Hunt now back up the inside into turn 2. If Johnson can hold it strong around here, he'll have that inside line into turn 3. He has got the car still alongside Hunt. This could end in disaster, and Johnson bounces over the curbs, has to get out of it, and this allows Greaves to have a look on Johnson, and through goes Sam Greaves. The 4Q boys doing a great job at the moment. Kieran Argent now sat on the back of Johnson, as Johnson has a bit of a moment on the grass. Off he goes, and Kieran Argent will now go through, and he moves up into 6th place. Jamie Lee, Nuke Waste, Cherry Moore, Rob Smith, Betterson, Unswift, Sturrock, Sam Williams all into the pit lane, and Stardog as well into the pit lane. So Stardog pitted a lap after Lino, and Lino is going to jump the pack here, and he comes out ahead of Stardog. What about Tanner Kneebone? You were saying pitted early after gaining numerous amounts of places on the opening lap, and he's going to be ahead of everybody bar Stardog, who pitted that lap. So a good stop for Tanner Kneebone there. He comes out ahead of the pack.
Yeah, I would think that was a bit naughty. I would think if you go off track, you'd have to concede the position that you lost, but not my decision, not a steward. So we'll just focus on the racing. A bit unlucky from Johnson there. If I were him, I'd dip into the pits sooner than later, and as I see that, he doesn't, but Argent does, Millington does.
Yeah, Millington and Argent both into the pit lane. That'll free up Gary Leach at the moment. Mirko Ricci has set the fastest lap of the race, and he's trying to chase down after Sam, and I kind of like that from Argent and Steve. They was just gaining onto the back of the train of the 2 BMWs in front. They've decided to box. A lot of BMWs out there in the Pro-Am field tonight, Gray. We know how strong a car the BMW can be. That's a good option. No Fords in the Pro-Am this season, I find interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I know the Ford got bopped last season in terms of a power restrictor, but it still usually is one of the more popular cars recently in this game, so it is a surprise to not see any Fords and see cars like the Bentley and the Nissan on the grid.
But we love the Nissan on the Bentley, so it's great to see them on the grid. Nuke Waste putting pressure on the Nissan of Rob Smith, as here comes Lino rounding the final corner now. Steve got off the went green before Kieran Argent. We'll see if Steve jumped Kieran Argent. Lino's coming down the pit lane. When will Steve or Argent come off the limiter? Well, they need to come off it soon, because here comes Lino, so Lino is going to get through. Steve did jump Kieran Argent in the pits, and they both will stay ahead of Stardog. So they both stay ahead of Stardog. I say that as Kieran Argent goes very deep, nearly into the back of Millington there. He will stay in front of Stardog, but yeah, Steve jumps Kieran in the pits. Kieran's had a long stop there. He'll be kicking himself over that one.
Yeah, I think Kneebone looks to have gained, I believe, 3 seconds on Stardog over the last couple laps. So he got unlucky in qualifying, but he is showing his pace in this first race.
Yeah, indeed he is. Good evening to Gillies in the chat, who has joined us in the commentary box for an interview last night. It was great to speak to Gillies for the first time, and what a race he had in the GT4s. He said fire up the broadcast, and immediately greeted to some argy-bargy. And good evening to Alistair Cummins, who says evening chaps, hope all is well. All is brilliant, my friend, hope's all good with you. As Hunt and Leach comes into the pits, as does Page, and Johnson is going up the inside of Sam Greaves into turn 1. This Porsche of Michael Johnson, he's looking like he's got this dialed up, you know. Is this going to be Johnson that we could see fighting at the front more often?
He looks very quick. Like I said, I thought he got a little unlucky with the incident with Hunt. And yeah, let me shout out Lino as well. He's learned from last season. He is what you said, doing the Benny Vargas strategy, and he's going long. And he is, as of right now, the net leader of the ones who have made a pit stop.
He is indeed. Hunt is in the pit, so we'll see where he comes out in relation to Hunt, as we will with Millington and Argent. But you're right, he has done that.
And Williams has responded to that pressure from Richie. Richie set the fastest lap. Sam Williams responds with a fastest lap of his own.
There we go. Lino coming down the start-finish straight. You see the cars exiting the pit lane on that left-hand side. Lino goes through. Millington gets ahead of Hunt there, as does Argent and Stardog. So the three of them jump Hunt. So Argent's undercut there, got it, and for Steve Millington, got him ahead of Hunt, because he was on the back of that Hunt Greaves Johnson train. And they've both gone in early and jumped them. So a good strategy from Kieran and from Steve Millington there. I can't remember where Stardog was before the round of pit stops, but yeah, Sam Williams responds and opens the gap up to half a second. Mirko Ricci into the pits now. I'm not expecting Lino to be overtaking Mirko Ricci. I'm expecting him to be close, but I think the two leaders have had great pace and not a lot of traffic to deal with. So I don't think that Lino will be ahead of Mirko Ricci come this pit stop. Wolski still out there 2.7 behind. Malarek's now in. Jamie Lee stays out on track as well. And a stop-go 30 for car 207. That is Taylor for speeding in the pit lane. On his debut, he'll get himself a stop-go penalty to his name. We said last night, Langley, how difficult it is to overtake, especially in that middle sector in a GT4 car. It's even worse in a GT3 because they're a lot bigger.
Even worse in a GT3. I remember when I raced Pro-Am here, I was stuck behind a Lexus for multiple laps. I could not I was probably a second to a second and a half quicker in the middle sector. Did not matter because the Lexus being the quickest in a straight line in this game, it was very difficult to overtake. Yeah. And the BM, the McLaren, the Porsche is probably one of the worst cars in a straight line for the ones relative around it, such as the McLaren BM, even Lambo. But Michael Johnson's making this work so far in this Porsche.
Yeah, indeed he is. And I said I think Lino will be close to Mirko Ricci. Ignore that. He's nowhere near Mirko Ricci. Mirko's got DJ Phil in between them. He's just exited turn 2 as Lino enters it now then. So a good stop from him. Millington is currently in a net 4th place, I think, in this race, because I don't think he'll get Wolski and I don't think he'll get Sam. So maybe a net 5th place, sorry, with Lino and Ricci in front of him. But there's a bit of a train starting to form. Millington, Argent, Stardog, Hunt and Page, who jumped Gary Leach, isn't a million miles away, and Tan and Ebone on the back of Gary Leach. Gary was in the top 10 before the pit stop started. So Tan and Ebone, that first lap pit stop, the Benny Vargas strategy, as I think we need to start calling it, has absolutely played in his favour because he was at the back of the grid due to the game sort of screwing him over a little bit. Sam Williams responds to Mirko Ricci though by pitting now.
Yeah, we'll see where Johnson comes out in relative to this pack, and it'll give us a good idea where this all will cycle out. We only have 4 minutes left in this race. It has absolutely flown by.
It has indeed. So Williams, Johnson and De Block into the pit lane. Atherton's not a backmarker. Apologies to Phil Atherton. I said he was a backmarker. He's actually running up in P9 at the moment. Hasn't done his stop though. So yeah, going quite well at the moment is Phil Atherton in this race. But Wolski now leads this race from Greaves from Jamie Lee as Williams goes green. Let's jump back to Mirko Ricci, who's coming down the start line. I think Mirko's going to get the jump on Sam Williams here. Williams comes off the limiter. There he is at the bottom of your screen. There's Mirko Ricci. Right around the outside goes Mirko Ricci. Sam shows him way too much respect and has just lost the lead of this race.
I think he's playing it smart from last season. I know he might be upset to lose a race win, but he didn't want to get involved in an incident in the first race, so he gives him much more respect, as you say, than he probably should have.
Yeah, I'd have definitely been out there to get to that apex, that corner, and make Mirko go deep. But that's just the way I drive, and that's the way Sam drives, I suppose. As Gillies in the chat says, good to see the Porsche having a good day out. I thought they said you couldn't overtake on Hungaroring. Seen so many passes already. Yeah, exactly. It's proving us wrong. What do us commentators know in the booth? Here is Stardog then, as De Block's tumbling down the order after his pit stop. So did Lino get ahead of... Yep, so Lino, then still Millington, then Johnson. So Steve's jumped Michael Johnson in the pits. So that's a good indication. Steve is ahead of Michael Johnson. Kieran stays on the back of Johnson. Then comes Hunt, then Stardog, then Page, then Gary, then Tan and Ebo. Peckman's on the back of Old Sim in the Bentley versus McLaren fight for 17th and 18th. Peckman was also one who got moved down into bronze. Newt Waste isn't far from them with Cherry Moore. Drive through for the 56 of Simcoe for track limits in this race. Paul Williams on the back of Brian Craig. It is the first one. I don't think we got one last night, neither did we?
No, we did not. And I do think it was a bit more forgiving because it was in wet conditions, and because you're already slower on the exit, the game doesn't recognize it as much. But yeah, that's the first one we've seen. I think Wolski's left his tyres on here because Sam has gone green way before Wolski, and yet Wolski would have been in the pits a couple of seconds before Sam. There goes Richie. There goes Sam Williams. Sorry, before Wolski, sorry. Here comes Lino. Has Sam Greaves jumped Lino? No, he has not. Wolski's only just gone green, so Sam Greaves has jumped the whole field by going longer. Here comes Johnson up the inside of Steve Millington, and Argent nearly wipes the pair of them out. Oh, missing his brakes at turn 1. Johnson gets ahead of Millington. Argent loses out a place to Hunt and nearly took out the rest of the field in front.
But what a four-way fight as we are on, I believe, the final lap of this race. For Wolski, though, he's down behind that of this fight of Kieran Argent and Stardog. Looks like Argent's made another mistake because Stardog's now got through.
Yeah, and Sam is caught back up to the rear. Richie, like you said, I think this is the final lap of the race, so Richie out the blocks, looking like it's going to be a winner here unless Sam can make a move in this final 2 sectors.
Yeah, he's got half a lap roughly to go in this race, and this is interesting now for Sam. He gave up that lead, in my opinion, way too early. He's got to now try and make this work to the very end. The problem is he's not overly close enough, like Benny Varga was last night on the back of post. He's not close enough to have a look. 3 corners to go, only 25 seconds left. This is definitely the last lap of the race, and it looks like Mirko Ritchie is going to return to the Pro-Am field with a race win under his belt. Sam might be kicking himself over that, but here comes Mirko Ritchie towards the final corner with 10 seconds on the clock. There might just be 1 lap left to go. I don't think we're going to get it as the timer ticks down to 3.
No, we are.
We are going to get it. So we're now on the final lap. Wow, 1 second to spare. So Mirko Ritchie's still got to defend here. Let's drop back down to that fight between Stardog, Argent, Hunt and Millington then, as Johnson has checked out from Steve Millington. He is 1.7 clear. Johnson is on fire in that Porsche.
Absolutely beautiful to see. It looks like Hunt has a run on Millington into the first turn. Looks to send it up the inside. Millington gives him much more space than he probably should have. Gives him a little hip check out the exit. Millington still has a nose on the inside. Hunt covers it off, and that is up to P6.
The 4Q drivers looking back to their best when they won the Constructors a few seasons ago. They look fantastic out here at the moment. And for Greaves, who's running P4, Hunt's now up into 6th place as he gets past Steve Millington. What's happening further down the field? Gary can't pass Page and Kneebone can't pass Gary at the moment. We've got Cherry Moore trying to catch up onto the back of Nuke Waste, who's looking onto the back of Peckman. A bit further down again, De Block's trying to pass Jamie Lee, but it's just proving how difficult overtaking is around here. Joe Lander attacking the back of Tucker. By the way, the bronze category, it's Page leading from Malarex from Peckman in this category at the moment. And then is there any other fights? Not really at the front. We're going to go back to the final, the top 2 though, because Sam a little bit closer this time around. But is it too little too late? We know this is the final lap of the race, and for Sam here, he's got to try and make this one work with only 2 corners, 1 corner left in this race. Mirko just needs a good exit from here, and he'll be home and dry for a race win. Mirko Ritchie rounds the final corner as a few yellow flags appear on the track map. Mirko Ritchie wins race 1 at the Hungaroring. Sam Williams 2nd place with the fastest lap. Great result for them too. It'll then be that of Lino, who will take P number 3 in this race. From Sam Greaves, Michael Johnson, great result for him. Hunt ahead of Millington, Stardog, Argent, Wolski. Poor pitch stop for him, drops him to 10th. Page wins in bronze from Gary Leach. Then it is Tan and Ebo. Malarek 2nd in bronze for P14. Flores down in 15th place, just ahead of Old Sim in the Bentley. Peckman will finish the podium in bronze. Nuke Waste got ahead of Cherry Moore with Jamie Lee, Tyler DeBlock, Rob Smith. Mark Tucker around the final corner now, and he'll cross the line in 23rd. Privet for 24th, Bettison 25th, ahead of Unsworth, Sturrock 27th. Here comes Neil Broom in 28th. Dronelander 29th. Damaged car, looked like he was the one who hit Jamie Lee off earlier on in this race, so yeah, not a shame for him. Paul Williams, not the race he'd have wanted either. He's down in P30. We didn't see what happened to Paul Williams. Brian Craig rounds the final corner for P31. Here comes Simcoe for 32nd, and we just await Phil Atherton as Taylor has already finished this race then. So great start to the season, Langley.
Great start, great race, action up and down the field, and more to come up next.
Yeah, more to come up next as Phil Atherton crosses the line. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport. The points as follows. Remember, the points are scored in this championship depending on who has overall finishes in this race. So if you finish in your overall position, Paige was obviously the bronze winner who finished in 11th place. So they take home top 11th place points, whereas their next rival was 14th place in the lobby. So Paige leads the championship at the moment with 50 points. Malarex is second in bronze from Peckman. Cherrymore, Rob Smith, Mark Tucker Privet, Broom, Simcoe, Phil Atherton, and then Taylor. Ian Best and John Andrews yet to take to the track this season. And then in the silver category, Mirko Ritchie took the race win. But Sam is only 4 points behind him due to the fact that he got the pole position and the fastest lap of the race. Lino is then in third from Greaves, Johnson, Hunt, Millington, Stardog, Argent, Wolski, Leach, Nebo, Flores, Oldsim, Nuke Weiss, Jamie Lee, Tyler de Block, Richard Bettison, Scott Unsworth, Sturrock, Joe Lando, Williams, Craig, Cummins, Gabino and Taylor. Cummins, Gabino, Taylor yet to start a race. And the Constructors, the Teams Championship, it looks a little like this. 4Q lead the way on 134 from Greasy Bandits on 110, SimPlay Racing on 107, Forever Forward are on 98 from Richie's Course team, Cloud9 on 81 in P6 from Vanguard Race Team, Infinity Racing Team is 8th from Page's Race Team, Balkan Sim Up, Team GBR, Team Merlot, Black and Blue Racing, Billy No Mates, FRL Racing, and then the Mustang Alley Racing and Quantum Motorsport. We're currently on board with Rob Smith, and just look at that track map. There is only 34 cars on the circuit tonight. 35 cars. No, because you're a part of that list. 34 cars on the track tonight, Langley. There was not a lot of room in that middle sector to move out the way of people and let them through for a fast lap.
No, not at all. And you got to remember that if you are on a fast lap, you have no obligation to get out the way of the car behind. The only way you would be obliged to get out the way is if you went off track and invalidated your lap, or it's your out lap. That is the only way. Nonetheless, traffic's going to play a part in this qualifying session here. I think it did just a little bit in that first one too. So yeah, definitely difficult to get a lap in here. Not too many long straights to let a car by if you need to.
No, there's not too many long straights at all to let a car by. And let's go on board a lap with the Lamborghini Mirko Ritchie. This is how tight this is. So it's on board inside, it's turn 2 for Mirko Ritchie. You can see long left-hander. That is Taylor getting out of the way. Bit of a blind entry into this corner. You don't see it until the last moment. Brake just before the curb on the right. Get it into the left and over the curb as much as you did. Long, hurry up and wait. Turn 5. You've really got to be patient on the power through this corner here. And when you power through, you come into a short, a little tricky chicane. You have to be very nimble through this middle sector. Now you come into the flowing, sweeping corners. You go round to the left again. You're just on and off the throttle so much, maybe dabbing the brake here and there just ever so slightly, but you just go on and off the throttle constantly throughout this entire section before you come round this long right-hand bend. You've got a bit of straight to stretch your legs, and you can come down towards the final 3 corners on the heavier braking zones on the circuit. Bit of a tighter corner, the third to last one. They have no corner names, so I can't give them names at the moment. And the penultimate corner, which is sweeping through to the left, and the same at the end where it sweeps through to the right. And Mirko Ritchie looks like he's put on a pretty good lap at the moment. He needs to, because he's down the order and not even in the top 10 at the moment. But will he be as he comes across the line? It looks a pretty good lap. He needs to beat Gary's 44.6. He does by 0.09 of a second. That's a good lap from Gary Leach, though.
Yeah, very much. He wasn't up there, I think only 15th in Quali 1, so to be only less than a 10th off of Ritchie. Race 1 winner after that, and I'd like to point out Cherry Moore and Page, 7th and 8th right now, and Cherry Moore, P4 now, only 4/10 off, and Tanner Kneebone goes quickest.
We said last night, and we said last season. Sorry, I had my microphone on the wrong side, righty, so I hope that's a bit better. We said last night that Cherry Moore has got better and better and better as the season has gone on last season. He looked great last night, and again, heck of an opener to his qualifying account here.
Yeah, and that's a great lap to be up there in 4th in the bronze category. Simcoe 10th. Simcoe was at the back of the pack of bronze last season, and he's 2nd right now.
He was, and he was at the back of the pack by quite the margin as well, wasn't he? And yeah, that's great to see him working on his pace in the off-season to get better as the season goes on. Let's see what happens then. This is Mark Tucker coming towards the line, 3.4 off the pace at the moment, and goes up the order. Richard Bettison doesn't get a lap time on the board as well, so let's hope there's no bug this time around for these guys. Where's Sam Williams coming into the penultimate corner, so we'll stick with Sam Williams. Tanner Nebo, though, your man on pole by just under a tenth and a half.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a big fight for pole. I don't think that's the last we've heard. And Gary Leach goes quickest by 18 milliseconds.
He's on it, and now Sam Williams finds half a second. Into the 43s goes Sam. And what a lap time from him. Mirko Ricci could not improve there. Where's Michael Johnson? He's down into 9th all of a sudden in this qualifying session. Kieran Argent's up in 7th. Remember, he was the surprise man. He's coming through the penultimate corner, so let's keep our eyes on him. But he was the surprise man in qualifying 2 last season, where he shocked the world. Let's be honest. He shocked the entire world, and especially me and you, Langley, by putting it on pole right at the very end as well.
Yeah, and it looked like Kneebone just got blocked on his lap as he popped himself back up to P2, tipping Gary Leach back at the line. But that's a great lap from Sam, a 43.
Yeah, heck of a lap time. Here comes Phil Atherton to the line. What does he do? Goes and does 4.6 off the pace at the moment for Phil Atherton. He's on a new steering wheel this year. Here comes Privet. Oh, just losing the rear end of that BMW. I like the Greasy Bandits, the Team GBR coloured BMW. I must admit that is a pretty striking livery on that car. And let's try and pick up. In fact, no, we'll stay on this with Flores, because Flores at the penultimate corner he's heading to now. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Sam Williams, that is a stonker of a lap time at the moment.
Yeah, we said last season, he did this a lot of times last season where he'd show his pace in quali and he'd not be able to get it done in the races. So if he can change that fortune this season, it'd be looking really good for him.
Would indeed, as Flores comes across the line and stays down in 25th. Just not got the pace at the moment as Flores. Taylor, the only man who's not set a lap time, he is currently in the pit lane. Let's try and pick someone else up at the back end of a lap. Here's Sturrock then, who's running a bit of a lighter silver on his car instead of that dark grey that he had last season. I quite like that striking kind of...
Sam's gone quicker. Sam's gone quicker by over a half a second from what he said.
That's incredible. Where's he found that pace from?
I don't know. He's just it probably picked it up at each turn. You know, he's good. He bought some grip hacks while he's at it. That is an incredible lap time.
Mirko Ricci's managed to pop himself up into 2nd place. There's a name we haven't seen for a while. Darren Yeo. He's never going to do it again. He's never going to do it again. Because I'll tell you now, Kieran, if you take pole and stack it at turn 1, me and Langley may not be able to make the broadcast for the 2nd race of the season. But Darren Yeo, welcome back in. It's been a while since we've seen Darren Yeo on the channel. Great to see you, Darren. Hope you're doing well. Matt Wright is ordering Chinese. Good, he needs to not be eating Chinese and be stretching them quads ready for FIFA in a little bit. And Steve Gillies says GBR livery looks like a Graham Hill Le Mans Matra. Well, there we go. I don't know what livery Graham Hill ran at Le Mans, but I assume it was a similar colour to that. Craig Stothard is also on about Chinese, so we've got a lot of Chinese deliveries being placed
food in the chat.
In this, yeah. I like what Wrighty's done there. Hey yo,
hey yo,
hey yo. We're gonna stick on with Mirko Ricci.
Your dad jokes. Oh
He's
my goodness.
good, isn't it? It's good. No bad days when the dad jokes are around, Langers. I'll let you compose yourself for a moment as Mirko Ricci comes towards the line now, and he's going to cross the line, and he finds 2/10, but he's still half a second off the back of Sam Williams. Just cannot get any closer to Sam. Sam may not need to come back out for the final 4 minutes here.
No, he's put his feet up. He's got, you know that Alonso meme when he's in the lawn chair with his feet up? Yeah. That's Sam right now up in P1.
Yeah.
So.
He sat there, I'd say he's sunning it up, but it's a very cloudy, dismal day here at the Hungaroring as Tanner Nebo stays in P4 forever forward. What a qualifying for them two in this race at the moment. Who's coming to the final corner? The 56 is, and that is Simcoe. Can he improve? Only needs a couple of attempts to put himself into that top 20. Here comes Simcoe, stays 23rd. Right, he says, I'll stretch my quads whilst I'm waiting for the throw-in. That's an inside joke. I don't think the stream will get that one, Righty, so it's not as funny because nobody understands. Thinks he's funny. Get back in this comms box and we'll right, who's coming to the line? I've pressed on Gary and I've not meant to. 777 is coming to the line. That was Malarex who improved up to 27th. We've then got the 74 car of Dronelander currently running in P8. Dronelander at times last season, Langers, showed good pace, good racecraft at times, and then at other times didn't have results at all. Would you say that's kind of the case here? Didn't have the greatest of first qualifyings, got involved in an incident in race 1. Now this qualifying is up in P8.
Yeah, if he can keep his nose clean, I think he's easily top 10 in pace. But I'd like to point out right now, the gap between 1st and 5th is a second. If you were to take that same gap from 5th down to 21st, this middle pack is crazy tight. Millington to block a millisecond behind him. Page half a tenth. Peckman half a tenth. Waste a fifth of a tenth. And you see how close it is in this 15th to 20th range. All within a tenth of each other. It's crazy tight down there.
Nobody's really improving. Argent's coming into the pits. That I think could be him done because he's
Millington's up into
to
6th.
Get out there. Millington's up into 6th. Gary's 5th. Where's the 4Q drivers? Greaves is only 7th. Hunt is... Where is Hunt? 19th. They had a strong race. Gary Leach, P5 at the moment. Who's coming around to finish a lap? Car number 13 in this race. As Matt Rice, it's nice to have the pros back in the comms box. That third guy in the fun event was dreadful. No, you did all right, Righty. You did all right. You know, sometimes when you're doing a long 90-minute race, you've got to have a punching bag in the corner to just, you know, wind down the time when it gets a little quiet. Sadly, you was said punching bag in the corner as the 840's coming to the line. That is Tyler DeBlock. Goes to the line, moves up into P4 for Tyler DeBlock, splitting the forever forward drivers as the top 3 are done for qualifying. Sam's on his 3rd cup of coffee and a 2nd ice cream, I think, at the moment, because he has been in there for about 6 minutes as we await for Diego Flores to come to the line. I tell you what, though, Sam this season, Langley, you said it a lot last season in terms of he's got to get that consistency. He's got to find that consistency. He's also possibly got to be a bit more elbows out and not be as nice to Mirko Ricci as he was in race 1 or to other drivers as he was in race 1. If he's wanting to win this championship, the pole positions aren't going to cut it if Mirko keeps beating you.
Yeah, because remember, he did... there was one race last season where he got pole by like 7 or 8 tenths. And he did not lead a single lap in the race because he lost the lead at turn 1 and then he just could not recover the pace that he showed in quali. So if he can get that consistency down in qualifying, it can be a really great storytell season for him.
Yeah, it could indeed. Sam Greaves has popped himself ahead of the 2 SimPlay racing drivers, so he moves up into P6. We're going to keep our eyes on the 680 that is coming towards the end. That is Lino, who's only down in 18th place at the moment, Langley. That is a poor qualifying from Lino. Hunt is 19th. He's done.
I think it also shows the strength of this field this season. Runner-up last season. Not saying he doesn't have the potential to fight this season, but it is just such a stacked grid. We say it every year that it just gets better and better. And it might not be a strong track for him, so we can leave it down to that. Like last season, first round doesn't always tell the full story, so...
And 100% it doesn't. We head to Brands Hatch next week for the first and only night race of the season before Kyle Army for our first 90-minute race. Steve Millington is done. He's just caused the yellow flag on the circuit, so he is done. Nuke Waste is the next man coming to the line before the 626 of
Nebo.
Tanner Nebo. We'll see what Tanner can do. But first of all, Luke Waste needs a couple of tenths. Can he move himself inside that top 10? Comes to the line now. No, only improves up into 15th. Has Tanner got enough time on the board here to maybe, just maybe, take a front row spot? He needs 4 tenths for a front row spot. I don't think he's going to get pole unless he's put in some unbelievable lap time. I think pole position is out of his reach, but let's see what will happen here. Fortan and Ebone to the line. We've been proven wrong in the past. No, absolutely nothing. All that build up for nada. As Ultim Racer finishes in P22, the 74 is coming to the line. That is Drone Lander down in 13th place. What will he do? He stays in P13, and the 477 of, not a clue, but either way it's not going to matter because Sam Williams is on pole position, and what a pole position that is from Williams.
And Cherry Moore on pole in 9th. That is a great
Huge
result for him.
Do you think this could be a Cherry Moore Page championship fight this season?
I mean, even Peckman, he's in 16th, but he was not consistently in the top 3 of bronze last season, and he's third in bronze
Peckman
now.
was silver last season.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
He's made the drop down, so he could be one to keep our eyes on.
It might be. I mean, that 9th and 10th is stunning for the bronze class.
And we said this, didn't we, about Bettison and Sturrock at times last season, but not this early on.
Yeah, definitely not this early on. The class of the field in the bronze class last season was definitely Richard Bettison. And you see, even if he was bronze, he'd only be 4th right now. That's just showing the amount of strength that each class has picked up, really.
Do we think Bettison was right to leave the Lexus? What's your thoughts on him going to the Aston Martin?
I think if he felt better in the Aston, then always go for it. My opinion, especially when you move up a class, is you want to always go with your bread and butter. And he looked so quick in that Lexus last season. Maybe if the Aston doesn't work out for him this year, maybe he'll switch back. But I think at the very least, it's a good thing that he stayed with a front engine car to at least keep the same driving characteristics.
Familiarities, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wainwright is saying unbelievable lap from Williams. Matt Wright then says that this could be a wake-up call for some people out there. The pace is getting a lot quicker. You have to put those practice laps in. Stothard says rapid lap from Williams. He also then says that we just hide from the first 2 races and focus on 3 onwards. Wainwright says I prefer to hide for the whole season. Matt Wright, think I'm going to switch to just watching this season. Well, you can join me in the comms box tomorrow night if you want to, Matt Wright. Mike Mathew says, mad to think the current pace of Pro-Am was the pace of Pro many seasons ago.
Exactly. That's why if you win a championship in Pro-Am, you can't say it's like against weak drivers, because it is not. It is not against weak drivers at all. These are very, very quick drivers and some of the fastest drivers on the platform.
Somebody's forgot to press drive, they've said in the chat. So that is Simcoe and Flores have both forgot to press drive, so they will start from the pit lane. And I'm going to put this to you now, Langley, based off what you've just said. You won Pro-Am 2 seasons ago. Do you think the pack is now faster than it was 2 seasons ago? Because I think that's the thing with Pro-Am, isn't it? I completely agree with what you've said, you know. But this pack now is quicker than what it was 2 seasons ago when you would. So almost like if you was to be in Pro-Am now, you wouldn't be as dominant as you was possibly 2 seasons ago when it was just you and Vitas at the front.
Well, think of it this way. I raced against Sam 2 seasons ago, and I would say I was about half a second to a second quicker than him. He's wiped that out. He's wiped out that margin. I raced against Kneebone a couple seasons ago. I would say I was probably a 10th or 2 quicker than him. He's wiped that gap out. I've raced against Greaves and Hunt as well, and they're back up where they were in the Lexus that season. Kieran's 3rd in this, I mean, even Cherry Moore, who's 8th, because Cherry Moore's 8th, Johnson's 9th. We just get more drivers in that range of pace. So it makes qualifying a lot more critical as well, especially at a track like this that is difficult to overtake. Because if you make one slight mistake, if you go wide at turn 1 and you're 10th, you're going to end up 17th next corner. It's going to make things very difficult. So the pace is much quicker, but I think the competitiveness of each driver also is what makes Pro-Ams so good recently these last 2 seasons.
Well, let's see what happens here then as we line up 2 by 2 for the second and final time this evening. And make sure to hit that thumbs up button, the bell if you want to be notified when we go live, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are fast approaching 1,200 subscribers. And don't forget, check out our sponsor, Design Manchester, in the description. Producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing and much more, including SimPlay Motorsport merchandise. But for the second and final time tonight, we are green and go at the Hungaroring, and Williams gets a better start than Mirko this time because he was just behind on the line. He gets back in front now as they enter the braking zone of turn 1. Kieran Argent's got to be mighty careful, wants to try and get as close to Sam as Mirko goes deep yet again. Here comes Argent, who moves up into second place. No spins at turn 1 after a good qualifying this time around. Kieran Argent moves up into second spot. Tanner Nebo gets himself ahead of Greaves as well. And it is BMW's galore as Greaves taps the back of Nebo, straightens him up after Wolski had his own moment as well. And Tanner back behind Greaves, lucky not to lose out to Gary Leach, who had to take avoided action in that one. And a great start once again. No yellow flags fly. We've still got Brian Craig in the pit lane. All the drive-through runners have got going. And we are green all the way through. No yellow flags thus far. But Kieran Argent, great move on a Mirko Ritchie, who ran deep again.
I think that is going to help Sam in the long run. Now that he's P1 and he's got a buffer to Ritchie behind, who seems by far and away at least the second quickest driver tonight, and obviously won last race, so that's going to help Sam out a lot in the over the course of this race.
It is. It's all going to depend on how much Kieran Argent can pull away from Mirko, or how quick Mirko can get on the back of Kieran Argent. And further down the field, Tanner Nebo trying to recover back onto the rear of Greaves. That was Cherry Moore going very wide through the 4th to final corner, and he loses out to Wolski and doesn't lose out to Page. Side-by-side action between Peckman and Nuke Waste coming through the 3rd to last corner. Cherry Moore gives a flash of the lights. And
Leno's had an incident with, who is that? Not sure. It's a navy blue car. Looked like an Aston Martin. I think it was Richard Bettison. Yeah, I think they had an incident into the right-hander where Max spun off so many years ago.
There we go. Right, and Sam Williams leads over the line. He's got a 2.2 second gap. Kieran under pressure from Mirko Ritchie, who has to yield because Sam Greaves comes flying through, and Tanner Nebo nearly fancied a look up the inside as well. So Mirko now down to P4. He's got work to do in his Lamborghini as he looks back up the inside at turn 2. Can't do it there, and all of a sudden you just start to wonder, is this going Sam's way at the moment? Let's not forget, he struggled in race 2s last season. Needs to get that off his back. Did he at Donington Park when he won the race last season? We'll find out. But so far so good for Sam Williams, and Greaves now up onto the podium as well.
Yeah, Greaves with an absolute stand into turn 1. Ritchie giving him the space. He's being very compliant right now, and he's very lucky because if he wasn't as compliant, it could have ended in tears. It was very much a late send, but very well timed from Greaves.
Johnson and Peckman going side by side through the chicane. Greatly done. Johnson gets that move put to bed. Sturrock now having a look at Peckman. You've then got Hunt, who's only 15th place at the moment. And who has it's Leno, who's now in the pit lane. We have lost Brian Craig. We didn't take to the start of this race. We've lost Brian Craig sadly from this one. But yeah, Leno into the pits at the end of that one. Remember, there is no pit window as we say good evening to Peaceful Stepdad and Sturrock now, looking up the inside of Peckman, down in towards the right hand, and can't get the move done there. And how's Argent doing out front? Sam not really close enough because he's defending from Mirko Ritchie.
Yeah, and Ritchie almost in the back of Greaves, and these 4 cars are all nose to tail with each other going down the front straight. Will Ritchie have a run on Greaves? Will Kneebone have a run on Ritchie? Will Leach have a run on Kneebone? We'll see into this braking zone.
Ritchie pulled out, had a bit of a look, And they all stay as they were. Sam Greaves there just parking it on the apex of the corner to get the drive out. This has allowed Argent to gain 1.3 seconds over this train of cars at the moment as Gary looks to attack Nebo. Nebo now full send up the inside of Mirko Ricci, and Ricci's down to 5th. He's going backwards, not forwards, and Tanner Nebo moves up another spot.
That was beautiful. It looked like Leach was going to make a move on Nebo. Nebo pulls to the inside to defend and attack at the same time, and up to 4th he goes.
Now Gary Leach is on the back of Mirko Ricci at the moment, just flicking through the fuel. We never tell you who is running what fuel in this race, and the front runners are all running similar levels as Gary Leach up the inside at the chicane, and he's past Mirko Ricci now. So whatever is going on for Mirko Ricci, it is going terribly wrong. Yellow flag, I think that is the 53 of Phil Atherton. It's not. Hunt is into the pits.
63.
So the 63's had a moment of Privet. Oh, that is big damage on Privet's car, but Hunt is also returned to the pit lane.
Yeah, and that might be a retirement. Well, we'll see if he goes out on track. Maybe he had some severe damage. Not sure what happened there.
No, we're not sure what happened there at all. Paul Williams looking on the back of Simcoe, can't get through. Rob Smith trying to catch the back of Tyler de Block. He's actually fell further back since we last looked. We then got Starlock, who's only down in 18th. I didn't really see where Starlock qualified in this race, but he's down. And I've had my microphone the wrong way again, so if I've sounded quiet, I do apologise. I need to switch over to my other one, because I think this one is going down, so I'll have to try and find that out for tomorrow night. But Starlock down in 18th, on the back though of Unsworth. Old Sim in that Bentley looking better this second race, and look at this gaggle of cars as Hunt does come out the pits. Sturrock going up the inside of Peckman once again. And Johnson's attacking around the outside of Newquist, and Johnson gets ahead of Newquist. So there is movers and shakers all up and down this field at the moment.
Looking really good right now. Some great racing up and down the field at this moment, and so many recognizable names at the front from last season. And Johnson is moving up the pack. He was down, I believe, in 16th, maybe 17th in that Porsche, and he's already moving up, showing that the Porsche is a much better race car around here. Cherry Moore and Page. Cherry Moore is on the back of Steve Millington for 8th, just about a half a second behind him.
And Steve Millington's trying to hunt down after Wolski at the moment, who's a second off the back of Mirko Ricci. As Gary Leach has gone a little wide there. Mirko trying to get around the outside, can't do so. Gary manages to keep that one under check. Gary's trying to chase down on the back of Tanner Nebo. This is looking from the rear view of Tanner Nebo's BMW. And this is looking back from Gary Leach's. There you see Mirko. Behind Mirko is Wolski, pretty close as well. Then comes Millington behind Wolski. And there's Cherry Moore behind Millington. So a bit of a train forming here. And look who has set the fastest lap of the race. Hello, Kieran Argent.
We'll see if that clean air helps him. He's on track at least. He's not in a wall right now, but we'll see if that is consistent for the rest of the race. Only 1.8, closing that gap down to Sam. This pace has come out of nowhere.
Where has this pace come from? As Gary Leach now looks onto the back of Tanner Nebo and into turn 1. Can't get the move done round the first corner this time. Tanner Nebo now pulling away, with Mirko Ricci being able to just put pressure on Gary Leach. There you see Wolski and Millington in the background, as well as Cherry Moore. So a good gaggle of cars here, all sat behind Tanner Nebo, who's not quite close enough to Sam Greaves yet. He's just within a second margin. And we'll see what Kieran Argent does over Sam Williams through the first sector. He took another 2/10 out of Sam Williams. Kieran Argent on a roll at the moment.
Absolutely flying out there right now, and honestly didn't see that coming from the race pace perspective.
Neither did I, as Old Sim's dropped down a couple of places. He's now going wheel to wheel with Bettison. Bettison looking up the inside of Old Sim. Little bit of contact. Hunt trying to unlap himself from all of this. Got to be careful as Hunt, who's the back marker now. And Old Sim loses out to Richard Bettison now. He's got Jamie Lee on the back of him for yet another position in this race. So the Bentley will probably come on a bit stronger as the race goes on. Simcoe's on the back of Rob Smith. Simcoe looks a lot better this season already. We used to see him last season as he makes the move up the inside at chicane. Simcoe last season got a reputation of spinning a lot, getting a lot of drive-throughs. A lot of yellow flags was Simcoe off. Didn't see a lot of that in race 1. And so far, as I say that, he's off. He's managed to keep it going, though. But so far, he's having a better night than last season.
Much better night. And there were a few times where he would park to get out the way in some unusual spots, to say the least, but it has been so far much better for him.
Here we go, Langley. Fight at the front. Tanner Nebo, who sets the fastest lap of the race now, is looking up the inside of Sam Greaves in towards turn 1. Does he go a little deep? Yes, he does, because he opens the door back up for Sam Greaves. They're going to be side by side. Sam didn't get the best of tractions out the corners. That's allowed Tanner to now pull away and stay in front. Now Sam comes back up the inside into turn 2. Thinks of a late brake manoeuvre. Tanner goes a little deep to just avoid that, but keeps ahead. Tanner moves up onto the podium. Forever Forward are on a march here, and Gary Leach may fancy a look at a run on Sam Greaves just behind. Sam now coming under pressure.
Yeah, and Kieran's only 1.4 behind Sam now, so these sorry, Forever Forward racing cars absolutely flying out there.
Gary getting alongside Sam Greaves through turn 5. Looked like a bit of a bump from Gary Leach at turn 5. Gets it up the inside of the chicane. Gary's done that to 2 people now in several laps. Mirko and Sam have fell victim to Gary at the chicane. Gary's a hard but fair racer, and that little bit of a bump, touring car style driving from Gary Leach, but he gets past Sam Greaves. Nothing wrong with that in my opinion. That is, it wasn't a push to pass because Sam didn't run deep from it. Gary just gave him a little kiss, if anything.
Yeah, and Wolski's on the back of this, and Millington right behind them, and then Cherry Moore right there. This pack of 7 cars all within touching distance of each other.
Horgent's lost another 2 attempts to Sam in that middle sector, but that could be where the McLaren's a bit stronger than that BMW will be as they come across the line. He's 1.6. Horgent driving well at the minute. Well, he must have made a mistake somewhere because he's lost half a second to Sam Williams now, so he's going to have his teammate chasing him down, but 4 seconds is that gap. And as we go further down the field, is there anybody a little bit closer? Jamie Lee trying to get past Bettison, who's trying to get past not Stardog. So who is that behind ahead of Bettison? It is the back marker of Hunt, and Stardog going side by side with Unsworth for 16th and 17th place. Here comes Stardog looking up the inside in towards turn number 1, and will he go through? Yes, he will indeed. Through goes Keenan Stardog up into P16 now.
Good move from him. We'll see. Is he going to keep that move done there? And yes, he will. And good move from him there. It's been some great racing so far tonight, and it does look like Unsworth looked back up the inside into turn 2, but Stardog kept it together there.
He did indeed. Now as they come towards turn number 4, what's happening with the Greaves? Leach has actually pulled away from Greaves, so Greaves now coming under pressure from Mirko Ritchie, who's got Wolski, Steve and Cherry Moore still for company. Johnson not quite on the back of Cherry Moore yet. That gap's 4.5 seconds. So at the moment, you know, Cherry Moore sitting in a real comfortable place. And in terms of that bronze championship, I know it's too early to talk championship. There is 18 races this season, obviously, because of that 2 90-minute races. You know, I know it's early to talk about the championship, but this is what we said about Bettison last year. You get a lot of silver drivers between yourself and the bronze rivals. That is what's going to help you win that bronze championship. And this is exactly where Cherry Moore is at the moment.
Yeah, and if he can consistently keep that up, that'd be great for him. I mean, he's on the back of this pack of basically the front runners right now, and he's keeping it consistent and sticking on the back of Millington. Even so, might have a run on to Millington into turn 1 here. Looking to the inside, is he late enough on the brakes? No, stays and tucks back in behind, but still, he's having a great drive right now.
He really is. I'll tell you what, Gary Leach and Tanner Nebo are inseparable. Tanner got a little bit ahead of Leach when Gary was stuck behind Sam. Now Gary's cleared Sam. He's back within 7/10 of Nebo. And they're not catching Kieran Argent. Kieran's also not catching, I say that, he's actually just took 0.3 of a second out to Sam Williams again. But Tanner and Gary aren't catching the leaders here. So Gary's sticking with Tanner. This is going to be an interesting fight in the rest of this race. And like you say, Cherry Moore on the back of Millington then. That's going to be interesting to keep our eyes on. Luke Waste has now set the fastest lap of the race. So where's that come from?
Where has that come from? And out of nowhere, I would say, the very least. Definitely we were not looking at him down the pack to be setting the timing sheets alight, but he is on the back of Michael Johnson now. Wow.
Wow, indeed. There's a battle starting to develop for P2 in the bronze category between Page and Peckman. And yeah, we've been saying all week how difficult it is to overtake, especially in the middle sector. We have seen some great moves tonight.
Has been absolutely scintillating racing tonight, and I
what a word.
pulled out my dictionary for that one. I think I'm very excited to see what the pit stops are going to bring as well. And does anyone take tires, or is there minimum pit stop time again?
It's just the 25 seconds, yeah, same as last season. So you're only going to lose 5 seconds if you do decide to take tyres. Dronelander's in. So see what Dronelander's going to. I'm just looking at a few strategy fuel-wise here. I'm not going to give anything away in case teams have people listening or whatever. What I will say is Dronelander was down to 11 litres left, so he's probably come to get out that traffic. He's already into the pits, that's why I'm happy to share his. But there's a few out there running a very heavy car at the moment. So that is interesting to keep our eyes on with how heavy the cars are at the moment. I don't know if we have lost Langley. Okay, if you guys can still hear me in the stream, I can't hear Langley. I have no audio coming through my headphones, and it's not Langley's problem. I think I've been having a few PC problems recently. I think I'm having one again at the moment. Not 100% sure because my Discord is not responding. And when it does that, yeah, PC's now decided to freeze. So, yeah, please bear with us. Hopefully, you are able to still hear me. And if not me, definitely Langley. We'll keep trying to give you all the action that's happening out there on the circuit at the moment. Please do bear with us.
apologize.
I think we're back. Langley, are you there? Hello, Langley.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ah, there we go. We're back. Apologies about that. Not sure what happened. The PC just decided to freeze on that one, so apologies about that. Langley did put that. How do we change the track before tomorrow? You don't change the track before tomorrow. But what I am noticing is Kieran Argent got within 1.2. Gary Leach is now up into 3rd place. Sam Greaves has got himself, has kept himself ahead of Mirko. Mirko's come under pressure from Wolski. I was trying to flick through the battles at the time this was happening. So a few changes out there, Langley, during this race at the moment.
Yeah, well, the one thing I've been keeping my eye on was the Leach and Kneebone battle. Kneebone had a little moment at turn 4, let Leach through. Leach had a little moment around the final corner. Kneebone got back through into turn 1, and then Leach then made another pass on Kneebone in the middle sector, so they've been scrapping it out. Kneebone's tires seem to be going off a little bit, falling off the pace.
Strange. Well, Mirko Ritchie's just pulled himself into the pits, so we'll see what he does here. Peckman's still trying to hunt down Page for that 2nd place in the bronze category at the moment, so we'll see what will happen here. But so far, so good in this race, and it's going to be an interesting one to see what happens as we get back on. Apologies, like we said, for them technical delays. My PC decided to freeze. Thankfully, it didn't end the stream. It just stopped our voices from being heard, so I do apologise about them technical delays, but we are back live with the action now. This is Peckman trying to chase down Page just ahead of him. Further down the field, we've got a scrap between, I noticed, Lino and Hunt for 31st and 32nd. They obviously pitted very early in this race, and yeah, they're duking it out for 31st and 32nd, so not the race they'd have wanted, but they're still having a good scrap out there.
I think they both had damage, and they both, remember, Hunt returned to the pits at one point, so Lino must have had another type of incident, because you would have thought Hunt would have lost a lap on that, but yeah, Jerome Lander's the first car 1 lap down, I believe.
I've got Phil oh no, it's changing now. They're all still on the lead lap, they're just coming through.
Oh yeah.
Argent now back up to 2.1 seconds behind Williams, so ebbing and flowing at the front. Greaves getting on the back of Kneebone, and Wolski, since Mirko's gone into the pits, Wolski's now within half a second of Sam Greaves as well, so Wolski's got that pace starting to come to him in the 2nd race.
Very much so, and he always loves a nice long race. I'll be honest, I would say keep an eye out for him for the 90-minute races. Yeah. He is very, very consistent driver, and always, honestly, not mentioned enough. We always say it, but he keeps to himself, and he always puts in the results. Got a bit unlucky in race 1. I think he may have switched tires, which would have lost him 5 seconds. But yeah, I think he could be on for a podium here if he can get a move on past Greaves soon.
I think Mirko's possibly pitted too early.
Possibly.
Where did Mirko come out there? I don't mean in terms of fuel. It'll be fuel fine to the very end. But where did Mirko come out there? 24th. Maybe
he's
not
come
actually.
out in clean air, though.
He's got a good gap. Yeah, so he's got a good gap.
The only thing that it depends on his strategy, because the only reason why it would not be is if he is much heavier fuel, but we are close to halfway in this race anyway, so it shouldn't be too big of a difference, I would think.
Oh, Flores has just had a nasty moment into the wall there. Diego Flores just stacking one into the wall, and that is going to ruin him in this 2nd race. That was a big bit of damage coming up through turn 4. Page now has lost out to Peckman somewhere, so Peckman's now running 2nd in gold. Cherry Moore still on the back of Steve Millington, by the way, still within 7/10. Steve Millington cannot get closer to Wolski at all, and Nuke Waste still has that fastest lap of the race, so interesting to see at the moment Where else are we? De Block's trying to gain on Bettison. No, he's not, because De Block's coming into the pits, as well as Peckman. So Peckman past Page, and into the pits he now comes. So what's Mirko's gap to Flores? Let's wait and see when he comes through that sector time. He's got 8.5 seconds, so he's got a good amount of time. And he's got that bonus of, if these cars in front of him pit, great. If he gets stuck in that 5 or 6 cars that surround him that haven't yet pitted, then he may come under trouble from the likes of Millington and Wolski, who was behind him before the pit stops.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out, if you just look at the track map, and you look at where Leach is, and all the way down to really Sturrock, how tight that back is, that is looking more like a pro race than a Pro-Am race. And I feel like that just proves how like tight the pack is and how close the racing is. And as I say that there's a bunch of lap cars trying to stay out of the way of this middle pack, causing even more chaos.
It is indeed. Gary Leach is just about to come up to Phil Atherton, who's a lap down. Is Phil Atherton pitted? I don't see where Phil Atherton is actually on the timing tower. He has pitted. No, he hasn't pitted. He's down in 27th. Yet to do his stop. He stays right out of Gary's way. Right. Johnson trying to get onto the back of Cherry Moore. Johnson's got within 7 tenths. Last time I saw Johnson to Cherry Moore, it was over 5 seconds. So he's been chipping away at this gap. And he looks, I tell you what, he looked great at times in the Nissan last season. He looks mighty in this Porsche this season.
Yes, he does. I'm looking at Wolski and Greaves. Wolski is all over the back of that rear wing now. Almost touched him into turn 1.
He did indeed. Sorry, I was just having a drink of water. He did almost touch him into turn 1, and DJ Phil stays well out of the way yet again. And Page is now pitted, so we'll see what happens for Peckman in this race. Remember, the undercut seemed strong in that first race. Kieran's dropped off 4 seconds now off the back of Sam Williams. Nebo's got himself back into a second at Garage. Good result this could be for the Forever Forward team here, especially while the likes of 4Q have got a driver down the order in Hunt, who's fighting for 29th now at the moment, because he's managed to gain a few places, but that's not what they'd have wanted. Obviously Williams is without Taylor for this race, and Gary and Steve sat third and 7th at the moment. But yeah, Wolski looking racy now. He's all over the back of Sam Williams. This is on board with Wolski, and that is what he can see. You can see Tanner chasing down Gary just further up front. Sam has a bit of a slide through the right-hander there. Wolski ran a little wide over the exit curve though. That's just cost him a little bit, and Wolski looks for a dive on Sam Greaves. Oh, a late dive on Sam Greaves. Misses the corner completely and takes Sam with him. Well, he's pushed Sam off the circuit. He's let Sam back go in front. But, wow, that was a day late, dollar short from Wolski there.
Yeah, very late, and I think both of them were just a little bit, because Sam turned in, and then Wolski had to react and basically curb hop over the curb. But, yeah, overall, it was just a bit too late from Wolski there.
Kieran now 5 seconds behind Sam Williams. Gary's gained half a second on Kieran Argent as well. I'm just looking, let's have a look at the last sort of lap times from the leaders in this race. Sam's been lapping in the low 45s, Kieran a 45.8, Gary was a 45.7 last time around, Nebo a 45.5, so Sam is in a world of his own at the minute. But the fastest lap of Nuke Waste is a 44.4, which was some it was near enough a 10th quicker than Sam Williams' fastest lap at the moment. Nuke Waste, what a lap time that is.
Just kind of came out of nowhere, honestly.
Even Gary set a better lap than Sam Williams, actually, looking at this, by 0.02 of a second. So, yeah, great little scrap for the fastest lap. A lot of cars, the top 10, all in the 44s, bar Wolski in this race. So, great pace from them all here. Right, Steve Millington's now into the pit lane. Where's this going to put him in terms of Mirko Ritchie? It doesn't matter, because Mirko is well ahead of Steve Millington. Then as Millington comes off the limiter, he stays ahead of Peckman. So he's the second driver out of those who have pitted at this moment.
But I think that's interesting, because Ritchie was just up the road from Millington. And now he's... we'll see the gap at the sector line, but that looks like a good... 7-second gap, maybe 8-second gap, maybe even more, honestly. That is a sizable gap. Remember, Millington was, I believe, 8th. I think Richie was only 6th.
So did Steve take tyres? We know the undercut seems strong here. Did Steve take tyres?
And there's the gap for you. It is 6.5 seconds at the sector line. And he may have taken tires. I would have thought Richie would have taken tires as well, though, pitting that early.
We'll wait and see.
We'll see. The temps are a bit cooler, so it might not call for tires as you would initially think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll wait and see what happens. Can Steve start to close that gap down? And,
Sam's in the pits. Sam Williams in the pits.
As is Nuke Waste, Scott Unsworth and Betterson. So Kieran Argent leads this race. Gary's pulled back another half a second over the last 2 laps on Kieran Argent. So is Kieran just taking his time now and just getting this car home? There is a yellow flag that has got back going. That looks like it's the 207 from what I'm reading, unless my eyes are failing me again. It was Taylor who's got some big damage to that car. He's got a pit anyway, so he'll be in for that one. Where's Mirko Ricci in terms of the leader? I don't think he's going to be anywhere near Sam. He's not. Sam's already off the limiter as Mirko comes past the pit exit now. And Sam is already on his way towards turn number 2. Nuke Waste is on his way out the pits, and Steve Millington will get past him. So Steve stays ahead of Nuke Waste. And Diego Flores is in between Mirko and Steve Millington. So we'll keep our eyes on him. But closest fight. Wolski's back on the rear of Greaves at the moment, Langers, and he's not letting this one up, is he? And I think you're right. The 90-minute races could be exactly what Wolski needs here. He gets better as the race goes on. The problem is he runs out of time, and in fact, he's coming into the pits. We've always seen Wolski have a strong second race over a first race.
Yeah, here is both forever Ford cars in the pits of Kieran and Kneebone, and yeah, Wolski, I didn't think he needed to be that aggressive on Greaves, especially now, just a couple laps later. He's coming into the pit lane, so it was quite an aggressive move to be pitting just a couple laps later.
Yeah, I agree. Let's keep our eyes on this battle then of Stardog, De Block, Dronelander, Bettison, Page, all within a bit of a train of each other. And Dronelander's only 1.3 off the back of Unsworth, so keep our eyes on this. Keep your eyes on when Argent goes green here. Will he take tyres? He's gone green now, so we'll come back to this fight in a moment. Williams is leaving the final corner. Argent has got a lot of pit lane to get down, and Sam Williams goes sailing past Argent before he's even come to that pit limiter line. Argent should be well out the pits before Mirko. There he is, yep, in the background. Tanner Kneebone. What did I say there? Tanner Kneebone is well out the pits before Mirko as well, and actually looks a little closer to Argent, does Tanner?
A little bit. I think they had the same pit stop, so that would have been down to the ignition and starter, the manual ignition and starter, so all driver related there. I believe they were in the box for the same amount of time. Richie is about the same spot as he was before, as Simcoe gets a second drive-through for track limits.
What did we say earlier about Simcoe? Now he's had 2 drive-throughs. Good evening to John Hypertech in the chat saying, go on old Tim in the Bentley. Yes, indeed, go on old Tim in the Bentley. Dronelander on the back of Unsworth. Now old Tim is into the pits, as is Tucker. Gary Leach is now into the pit lanes. This will be interesting to see what the overcut for Gary has done in terms of him catching Argent, and as well as him losing Kneebone. Kneebone has gained 2 seconds on Argent because he was, half a second off the back of Gary when pitting, and Gary was 6 seconds off the back of Kieran, so he's gained 2 seconds as Tanner Kneebone, as Stardog right around the outside of Dronelander there, and De Block may fancy a look around the outside of Dronelander as well, can't do so, tries to go up the inside, can't do so there. Top 3 are in. Sam Williams at the penultimate corner now. Yellow flag for a driver in the pits, so I'm wondering who that one is. That may be, I can't quite tell who that number is in the pit lane. There's a few too many cars in there to tell who's the one with the yellow flag in the pits. But Sam goes green before Gary. So I think Gary's taking tyres here because Sam can't be, surely.
Sam's further down the pits as well.
There's, in fact, Gary's coming out the pit lane now. Where's Tanner Kneebone? There he is. Tanner's going to get Gary. Mirko might get Gary here. Yes, he does. So sorry, no apologies. Oh no, Gary! Well, Gary didn't show the love like Sam did going into turn 1. Missed his brakes by a country mile. Off the track he goes, but stays ahead of Mirko Ricci. So Gary Leach there.
Gary, you got to give that back. You have to give that back.
I think he's got to give that back. That was a day late, dollar short from Gary Leach. But Sam showed Mirko too much respect. Gary gave him none.
I don't blame Richie for absolutely going on the flasher button right now. I would not be the happiest person, and he's got to keep his head here, because I probably wouldn't be the most pleasant person behind someone else after that would happen to me.
That would kind of tick me off a little bit as well, as Flores is up into the top 10, but he's yet to pit. Nuke Waste still holds the fastest lap of this race, and now Mirko Ricci will want to try and stick to Gary, because if Gary doesn't get that back and a ticket goes in, that could be a 10-second time penalty, I'd imagine, depending on what the stewards obviously decide on that one. Cherry Moore on the back of Michael Johnson, so Johnson's got the jump over Cherry Moore through the pit stops, and Johnson up to 11th place. Johnson's looked really good today. I've been really impressed with Johnson. I know he's not at a podium, I know he's just outside the top 10 at the minute, but Johnson for me has looked really strong in that portion.
Well, he is a net 10th place with Flores still yet to pit, so he is in the top 10 at the moment, actually.
He is indeed, you're correct. And what is he? He's only 2 seconds off the back of Nuke Waste, to be fair. So it's not a huge gap, is it?
I'm keeping an eye on this Gary Leach and Richie battle. I'm just looking to see if Richie makes any move that would not be out of the ordinary after what happened to him last lap.
Well, they make it through turn 1, and Richie's back onto the rear of him. Kieran's got the gap under 5 seconds to Williams. I think Kieran's going to be more than content to bring this car home for second place. And Sam, looking like he's got them race 2 demons out the back. Touch wood, and I will touch wood because I don't want to give the curse to any driver on the grid. Cherry Moore still chasing Johnson. Down the order, we've got Stardog on the back of Unsworth coming in towards turn number 1. We're still running with 33, no, we've got 32 drivers, so who's that other retirement we've had then from this race? Obviously, Brian Craig never started. Taylor's still in there. We've lost Bettison. Now, Bettison did message me earlier today. He has been under the weather quite bad. That's why he didn't race last night. So he says if he does shoot off, it's probably because he's not feeling 100% and doesn't want to be a danger out there. So Bettison is gone, so it will go down as a race start for him on his stats, but it will not be a penalty going into next week due to the fact that he has informed me that he is unwell.
Yeah, and I believe this will be the start that the Forever Ford racing duo will want in the Constructors' Championship as well. Will be leaping out to a very sizable margin.
He's done it again now, hasn't he? What did we say about Kieran last season? Constantly moaning in the week and telling us that he can't drive this car and it's not going very well, and it comes to race night and he's had a pretty good night. 9th and a second at the minute. Diego Flores.
Comment.
Yeah, Diego Flores into the pits. Sam has retaken back the fastest lap of this race. And Page is actually within a 10th of Droneland. Let's go down and take a look at that one. There is Page and Droneland. Dronelander's car looking a bit battered this evening. So hopefully that one will sort itself out. But yeah, so far, quite the interesting one. What could have been for Quantum Motorsport? What could have been for Quantum Motorsport, but somebody told them to run a different name so that a certain someone else could have the Quantum name this season.
That's not my business.
No, I'm just talking politics. What's happened off air before the season started? Kieran and Nebo was meant to be Quantum Motorsport, and yeah, they're now not. They're Forever Forward. The fastest lap race time is by Sam Williams, 1:44.455. As Flores is still into the pits, that puts Johnson up into 10th place, who's just over a second to Nuke Waste now. So he's pulling away from Cherry Moore and gaining. Gary's still got Mirko within a second of him, but he's started to stretch his legs now and gain on Nebo. Nebo's lost time to Argent over that last lap. Argent did a 44.8. What is Richie's time? Richie's doing 45, so he's actually 3 tenths slower last lap than Gary Leach. So Is that in? Sam's back in the pits. Oh, his race 2 woes go from bad to worse. And Kieran, who a few seasons ago lost a race win at the very end due to contact with Max Mulder, leads, and it is a forever forward 1-2 with Argent leading this race with 20 minutes to go. Why is Sam in the pit lane? Oh, he's out of fuel. He's only got 6 litres left, Langley, on the timing tower.
He hasn't put enough fuel in the car at the pit stop. Oh my gosh.
His race 2 woes continue, Langers.
That... wow.
I can't believe it.
And it's a minimum 25-second stop as well.
Yeah, I cannot believe it. Kieran Argent now leads this race. It's not that I can't believe it. Sam's race 2 woes. He looked like he could have put them to bed. Steve Gillies saying isn't complaining about the car all week, just bread and butter from racing drivers. There's complaining about the car. And then there's what Kieran does in the week. And Wainwright saying, man, what a shame for him. Jamal says, I've cursed him. Sam had pitted long before. Sam had pitted long before I cursed him. I'll have you know. Thank you very much, Jamal. It wasn't me that told him to not fuel the car up. At least Andrew Taylor's not here to hit this week, I suppose.
I can't call that a commentator's curse.
No, not at all. Not at all. Jamal. Finding excuses for his drivers. Who'd have thought this one, Langers? Kieran Argent leads with 18 minutes on the clock. Who'd have thought this?
We won't hear the end of it, will we?
You best score some goals tonight, that's all I'm going to tell you. You best score some goals tonight. That is, I think, Hunt, who's moving out the way. He looks like he's got damage to the front end of the car. We're still seeing Mirko Ritchie try and gain. Gary's gaining on Nebo, though. That gap's now only 1.5 seconds to block side by side with Stardog. And up the inside of Stardog he goes at the penultimate corner. And there's your first. Thank you, Mama, for the carrots of this season. We didn't say it last night. We haven't said it so far tonight. So through goes Tyler de Block on Stardog. Here comes Malarex, who's looking on the back of Lino. Lino's done well to recover. Up to 23rd. Damage limitation, really, for him in this race.
I'm still starstruck. I cannot believe that's happened. And it's exactly the reason we mentioned at the start of tonight. It's just, it makes me speechless, honestly.
It does me as well.
He has the pace. It's only one round. I said it last season, but maybe the monkey isn't off his back.
Lost the race win in race 1 because he was a bit too generous to Mirko Ritchie. Not enough fuel here. Matt Wright just said, how close is the grid, though? He's all the way down to 17th, and he's come out right on the back of Page. So pretty spot on. You know, he's still in this race with 17 minutes to go to gain a few places here and possibly get in that top 15. He's got the pace to.
He'll have to gain about 20 seconds, though. That's the thing. Well, the top 15, he'd have to gain 10 seconds. He's just now past Page. But to get up to where Peckman is and Unsworth is, they're about...
Yeah, 15. To Unsworth's about 15 seconds. Peckman at about 20 or so. Well, we'll see what happens for Sam.
So.
Mirko's within 0.5 seconds of Gary Leach. We've got Wolski 9 tenths to Steve Millington. We've got Michael Johnson, who's actually past Nuke Waste now. And Nuke Waste coming under pressure from Cherry Moore and Sturrock. The pair of Mercedes-Benz looking like they're going to try and stalk the Ferrari into turn 1. Here comes Cherry Moore, has a look on Waste. Doesn't make the move, though. Sits and waits patiently and now gets a bit of a better run with the Ferrari because Waste went a little wide on the exit curb. Here comes Sturrock to the outside line. Be great move round the outside here if he can hold it on that inside line for turn 3. Bit of contact.
Bit of a shoulder.
And Cherry Moore lets him off.
Yeah, a bit of a shoulder there, but I think that's all fair game.
I agree. I agree indeed. Right, let's get this driver of the day pole typed up.
Wow. I would have said Sam easily, but that's just that's a mental error. It's not even a driving error, and yes, you can make mental errors while driving, but that's just... It's like It's like putting on the wrong, or it's like putting on a used set of tires that you use from practice or something for qualifying or the start of the race. It's the same type of just not making sure the car's where it needs to be kind of thing.
Indeed. Driver of the day polls up. Mirko Ritchie, Kieran Argent, Sam Greaves or other comment who. Matt's saying it's all down to race management for Argent now. Has the pace, doesn't need to push it. You try telling him that. Because Kieran will just want to push it, and that's the problem. He'll want to do as much as he can.
The joke I was going to make was, are you surprised when a Quantum owner doesn't even run the Quantum name? So, yeah, that's why those two aren't in Quantum colors anymore.
You're team manager, though. You've got the name. You've took the name being team manager, apparently, haven't you?
I was like, it was forced upon me. I'll put it that way.
I don't think it was forced upon you. I think you just. I think you got team manager because of how good a season you had, being that there was only one Quantum driver who didn't get a podium last season. You know what I mean? In class, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, Gary's now pulled 1.2 over Mirko Ritchie, but you know, if Mirko puts that ticket in, Gary could be in jeopardy of losing that podium. So we'll see what happens here. Wolski's within 2 tenths now of Steve Millington. So the Greasy Bandits
Leach is much closer to Nebo now as well.
Yeah, 1.4 seconds. Or is that
less than that?
Ah, let's have a look.
It's got to be less than that. It was at the sector line.
Yeah, that's under a second, I reckon. Well, we'll find out now. They're coming over the sector line now. Yeah, 8 tenths. There you go.
So we'll keep an eye on that toward the end of the race. Wolski, as you said, only 2 tenths behind Millington. Has not quite worked out for him this race, unfortunately. Millington has split those 2 cars of Greaves, and Greaves lets him
No, that's
go?
Hunt.
Oh, no, that's not Greaves, that's Hunt.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, it's not quite worked out for Wolski. He was on the back of Greaves at one point. Maybe that damaged just a bit too much for him to handle.
Possibly so. Let's see what's happening down the grid. Simcoe's in for that drive-through penalty. Drone lander. Has Simcoe parked it in the pits? I believe he has. I think he's stationary in the pits. He's still ahead of Privet on the same lap. He's a lap ahead of Taylor and Phil Atherton. And this is Drone lander trying to get onto the back. Sorry, he's got Flores on the back of him. He's trying to gain on the Porsche of Malarex. Not the greatest of second races from Malarex. Surprised he's left the Aston Martin for the Porsche, because he had a really good first half of the season in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, that is true, and that's the reason why he was put up. Making sure I don't get my drivers mixed up here. He's in the silver class now, right?
No, he stayed in bronze.
Still bronze. There was 2 that moved. That was Sturrock and Bettison, not Malarex. But yeah, Malarex was very good, like consistently top 3 in his Aston Martin last season. Just not going the same way for him this season. Well, so far, only 1 round.
We're on board with Sturrock at the moment. Cherry Moore on the back of Nuke Waste. Sturrock on the back of Cherry Moore. And Gary now within 4 tenths of Tanner Nebo, and Tanner's not gaining on Kieran Argent. This is Kieran's to control from this position. Fury's granddad has just asked who's driving Kieran's car. Oh dear.
Tony, you should go back to the beginning of the stream before we went live.
Oh, I need to go and edit that and mute it out, I think. Gary putting pressure on Tanner Nebo. Wolski's dropped off the back of Steve Millington a little bit. We've still got Cherry Moore fighting the back of Nuke Waste and of Sturrock trying to attack the back of Cherry Moore. A few fights happening down the field as well. Sam's took 5 seconds out of Stardog over what, 3 laps?
Yeah, it's true. He might have a chance at, I think, what is it, 13th here? Yeah, 13th. Possibly.
Yeah, possibly 13th.
Because he's only, let's see the gap at this.
Wow,
he's only about 6 seconds off of the block, so he may have a chance to get 13th, which will be salvaged, but what could have been again.
Indeed, yeah. 6 seconds off of the block, 7 seconds off of Peckman. So Peckman possibly seems out of touch for him there. off.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Thank you. I was waiting for the comment. Gary Leach all over the back now of Tanner Nebo, and they've dropped Mirko Ricci in this race. Can Gary split the Forever Forward party and put a SimPlay racing car into second place? And we'll see what happens at the moment. Millington down in 6th for SimPlay Racing. So Forever Forward scoring good points in this team's championship early on. And we've not had that dominance of one driver. Benny Varga took, like you said, a double win last season after Sam had a poor race too at Alton Park. We're going to get 2 different winners tonight, and that's going to be an interesting thing to keep our eyes on as this season goes on. Already 2 winners in 2 races. I think this championship's wide open for multiple race winners again this season, like we had last year. Gary, not close enough at the moment, but he's giving Nebo a flash of the light. So come on, mate, get your foot down or move out my way. Thank you very much.
I don't think Kneebone's going to move out too easily, but we know the way Gary drives, he likes to get the bumper to the rear if he can.
Yeah, indeed he does. It is going to be interesting to see what Gary can do up against Kneebone at the moment. Cherry Mawson in a good 3-way fight with Nuke Waste and Sturrock, but not close enough, any of them. Stardog gaining a bit closer to the back of Unsworth, and look who's already. Last lap it was 3.5 seconds. It's now going to be under 2 seconds. So Sam Williams is for it's 1.5. He's gained 2 seconds in a lap as Sam Williams here. He is charging.
Well, there's a reason why that purple is next to his name, and there's a reason he got pole by a half a second margin. But yeah, we'll see. Well, I think 8 minutes left. He should be able to get at least 13th here.
Yeah.
12th would be a stretch, but like you said last night, catching is one thing, passing is another.
It is indeed. And speaking of passing, I've just noticed on the track map, Kieran Argent has got one heck of a train of traffic coming up in a moment. So he's going to want this traffic to get right out his way. Nebo still fending off Gary Leach, who I think was still flashing the old lights there at Tanner Nebo. Matt Wright saying that Nebo needs to defend for his life to protect his teammate. I think even if Gary gets past Nebo, and I don't think Gary's going to catch Kieran in time. And I think Gary could close the gap if he gets through. I think he could close the gap. I don't think he'll get close enough. Cherry Moore, probably our shout-out for driver of the day for me, following on from his form from yesterday. So impressive in bronze, giving the Silver
Gary's
boys a hard time.
Gary's a lot closer here.
He is.
Gary's
is he going to pull out? Here. He does pull out, but it's not a proper look, Langers.
I thought Nebo would have defended the inside there, but I guess he just determined that he could break deeper on the rubbered-in line on the outside.
Sam Williams to the outside of Stardog, has a bit of a look, can't get through at the penultimate corner, possibly going to wait for that start-finish line. He's now on the back of Stardog and Unsworth. Unsworth's only 1.3... the back of Unsworth. Unsworth's only 1.3 off the back of De Block. So, yeah, chance for Sam to be definitely, possibly 13th place at the end of this race, but he's got to get it done soon. Wolski up to down to 7 tenths to Millington, so he's brought that gap back down just ever so slightly here. And Williams can't have a look into turn 1. But what is happening between Tanner and Gary? Tanner's had to cut the chicane, and Gary, is he going to sail through? No damage on the course. They make contact, and Tanner's around.
Yeah, Tanner should have let him go there. That was his fault there, unfortunately. And he's having trouble getting it going again. He's stuck in a spot where he can't really... He gets it going again finally, but that has him down now. Where is P4. He now?
I don't think... Did Greaves... Oh, no, Greaves did get past him. Yes, he's P4. Oh, no, he's not. Millington and Wolski did get past him, so now he's 7th. Wow. Yeah. So how that changes for Forever Forward Racing. And now, Kieran Argent leads from Gary Leach. 7 seconds is the gap. But Millington's now up into P5. He's got to worry about Wolski, though. Wolski's gaining on him. The Cherry Moore, Sturrock and Nuke Waste fight, not really anything happening there. Stardog, though, putting pressure on Unsworth at the moment. Williams still hasn't got through. And this is what we said, look, he can gain on the back of these cars. He's got the pace to do it, but he cannot get past them at the moment. And this is what's going to hurt Sam Williams in this race. He's got to do the job. 56, stop-go penalty. That is Simcoe for speeding in the pit lane. So he's got to come straight back in and get that one done.
Yep. Or else he is disqualified from this race.
Indeed. Here comes Sam now.
Oh boy.
Under the rear wing of Stardog. And let's see what Sam can do here. Stardog's got that slipstream of the BMW in front, though, thankfully.
Yeah, Sam's a bit closer here. I think he'll have a look. Nope. He does have a look, and it's a bit late. That was really close. Oh no, he locks the rear axle, and he almost spins it at turn 1, but he keeps it just straight. Oh my goodness, that was really close there.
That drive, he's driving a bit frustrated. You could see in that one move, he's just a little bit frustrated, and that kind of gave you the clear cut of the frustrations for him in this one. And yeah, he's got to go again.
As you said, the Porsche has that slipstream of Unsworth. I think that's helping him because the Porsche is not that strong of a car in a straight line, but that slipstream was helping him stay in front of the McLaren of Sam there.
Right, so Gary Leach is 6 seconds from Kieran Argent. Kieran's had a bit of traffic to deal with. We'll see what the gap is now as they cross the line. Gary's pulled a second back in a lap. If he pulls any more than that, we'll find out in a moment. So it was over 7 seconds at the line. It's 5.6. Gary is charging here, but what? We're saying, what, 2, maybe 3 laps left?
He's going to have to gain almost a second per sector at this point if he wants to have a chance. So that is, yeah, that's a bit of a stretch.
Well, the last laps, Kieran did a 46.8, Gary a 45.4, so 1.4 seconds. We're coming up to sector 1. We'll see what happens here for the timing tower. We're just going to go on board with Wolski because he's on the back of Steve. So what's Gary got the gap down to? Or has Kieran's extended it back up to 6 seconds. So there we go. Kieran looks like he's responded to Gary trying to potentially catch him there. And I just wonder if they're all in a chat together. I know Kieran likes to race quiet. So let's just take a look in the other Discord. Nope, they're all in there together. Although Gary's not actually in there. So Gary's not in there with them. So yes, that's interesting to see. But Wolski putting the pressure on Millington here now. Really starting to fight for a P5 in this race.
Yeah, Millington's putting on a good drive. 5th place for him. It was right around the 10th area last season. So a top 5 for him here is very good drive.
Matt Wright saying if he didn't get them 2 seconds from the contact, he would have been right on him. Yeah, because he's took another 8/10 out of Kieran in the middle sector. I think he would have been on him. I think Righty may have been right. You know, oh, Wolski nearly into the back of Millington there later on the brakes, and thankfully they didn't make contact. Nuke Way still fending off Sturrock and Cherrymore and Sturrock, but nothing happening in that fight. Stardog still on the back of Unsworth. He's 2 seconds clear of Williams. That might be a little bit closer. Flores back into the pit lane. And Simcoe still got that stop-go penalty to serve. Gap now down to 5 seconds. So Gary pulled back not as much this lap, but still a good amount with 2 to go. Gary's got to get 2.5 seconds a lap out of Kieran Argent. That's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, that's going to be a really, really tough ask for him.
Oh, Stardog's had a moment because I've just gone back onto him. He's just rejoined, so that's put Sam Williams up into 16th place. So can Sam now get on the back of Unsworth? We'll wait and see on that one. Gary's got the gap down to 4.8 after sector 1. Needs that gap at around 2.5 seconds with 1 to go. And what traffic does Kieran have? That's a drive-through penalty for car 437. That is Jamie Lee with the drive-through. I spy a Datsun, says Gillies in the chat. Kieran's still got a bit of traffic, but so is Gary Leach. So, yeah, interesting at the moment to see what's going to happen in this race. Been a great start to the season, though, Langley. Been a real good opener.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go over race 1 as well. Remind everyone that the bronze podium for race 1 was Page, Malarex, and Peckman. Cherry Moore did finish P4, though, so keep that into account when you're doing the driver of the day. And then the podium for race 1 was Richie Williams and Lino. I didn't even realize Lino finished 3rd, I'll be honest.
3rd place, I think. After all, he just pitted earlier than everybody and managed to get P4.
Yeah, that's true.
Kieran starts the final lap of this race, 3.4 seconds. I think he's got enough in the bag. Steve Millington, once again, fending off that of Wolski at this moment in time. Let's see what he can do. Johnson's gained on Nebo, so Nebo must have a little bit of damage. It's allowed Johnson to gain onto him here. So this could be a few more points for Johnson in this race. Johnson's had such a strong night. I don't know why I didn't put him on the list. Possibly because his second race was stop-go penalty. Oh, that's Simcoe still crossing the line with 253 laps to do his stop-go. I've never seen that before.
Clap it up for ACC. Johnson has a run on Kneebone into turn 2. He looks to the outside. Kneebone covers the inside. Kneebone parks it on the apex there. Good defense from him, but Johnson looks to have the pace all over that rear wing of the BMW.
I'm kind of glad that Johnson's come out the Nissan because he looks a different driver in this Porsche. He really does.
Gotta love the Nissan. The Nissan.
I don't hate the Nissan, you know, but for Johnson, it's done him the world of good in this race. Williams is within 9/10 of Unsworth. They're only at turn 3 now. Yellow flag at the top end of the circuit. Not sure who that is, but let's go to Kieran Argent. Gap is 3.1 seconds. He's got 2 corners to get right. Can he get them right? He'll be crawling, I reckon, around these 2 corners.
Oh my goodness!
He's got
I saw
the
that
gap.
McLaren. I saw that McLaren on the outside and panicked. I really did. Oh my goodness!
Well, here he comes. I bet he didn't think he was going to get many podiums this season. I bet he didn't think he was going to get a race win. Kieran Argent wins the feature race at the Hungaroring. Gary Leach will take 2nd place. Mirko Ricci 3rd, with Sam Greaves coming home in an impressive P4. What a job from him. Steve Millington holds on for 5th over Wolski. Great pressure from Wolski at the end. Tanner Kneebone will hold off from Michael Johnson as well. Great stuff from Michael Johnson there. Nuke Waste is going to fend off that of Cherry Moore, who is your bronze winner, and Sturrock. Peckman is going to cross the line for P2. There's only 1 car between Peckman and Cherry Moore in this race, but there is 4 silvers between Peckman and Page for 2nd and 3rd in silver. What a job for him in this one. Good top stuff for Peckman in this race to block P13. Unsworth is P14. Sam Williams out of fuel, P15 for him. Keenan Stardog will cross the line for 16th place. We then wait for Page, who's coming through for 17th. And for 3rd place in the bronze category, good opener to the season for Page. Neil Broom, P18, P4 in class. Good result for Broom in this one. Jamie Lee got a 30-second time penalty. He will lose out to Rob Smith and probably Mark Tucker in this one. Paul Williams will cross the line for P19. Gary Oldsim is about to cross the line for P20. Drivers have left the lobby, so we'll have to get the results at the very end to input them. Gary Oldsim crosses the line for P19. Jamie Lee's finished. Oh, no, it was Jamie Lee who finished with the stop. It was Simcoe had the stop go, wasn't it? There we go. The results are now in. So let's just quickly get a screenshot of them. Ready to input all the data on the spreadsheet while we wait for the drivers to come in for an interview. But Langley, sum up Pro-Am Hungaroring and give us your bronze and silver driver of the day.
Well, there's only 2 drivers from each category that got a podium in both races. So, my silver driver of the day is Richie, because he won the sprint race, and then P3 in the feature. And then I will give it to Paige, though I really want to give it to Cherry Moore, but since we both get one, that's a little hint for you. We both get a driver of the day, so I'll give it to Paige for driver of the day in the bronze, P3 in the feature, P1 in the sprint.
Yeah, I'm going to go Mirko Ricci as well. I think I'm going to go Mirko Ricci, a win and a 3rd. Honourable mention to Sam Greaves for a pair of 4th places. Michael Johnson, honourable mention. Sam had a great race 1. And obviously the honourable shout to Kieran in race 2 for that race win. Great result for him as a driver in that one. And my bronze driver of the day, I kind of want to go Page, but Cherry Moore in that 2nd race. Page, was had a good result. Where did Page finish in race 1? Was 11th.
11th.
Cherry Moore's just finished in the top 10. Finished 10th place. So yeah, I'm going to have to go Cherry Moore for my bronze driver of the day, just off the back of, a top 10 against some of these silver drivers is a mega result in this category.
Yeah, for sure. I think Cherry Moore and Page are both very deserving of that driver of the day. Cherry Moore, a great performance in race 2 in the bronze category.
Indeed is. Is anybody joined us in the Discord chat while I'm just inputting these results?
We have two. We have Mr. Gary Leach and Mr. Kieran Argent.
Well, Langers.
I'll start with Gary, and not a bad night for yourself. P2 in the feature race, and not as well in the sprint, but I would guess that the feature race makes up for the sprint. P12 in the sprint. Talk us through the feature race, especially toward those last few laps, putting the pressure on Kneebone. I think from our perspective, it was more on Kneebone understeered a bit after cutting the chicane. But yeah, just talk about that. Did you take tires? Because you seemed very quick at the end as well.
Yeah, definitely took tires, especially after the sprint. They'd gone off after about 10 minutes, but like I said, I hadn't had a setup, so that was kind of a test session, the sprint race. Made a few changes, and the tyres seemed to last a lot better in the feature race, but then, to be fair, I was more consistent with the changes I made. So, yeah, I did take tyres, and it paid off.
Do you think you could have caught Kieran if you didn't have that incident with Kneebone? Because you were catching quite rapidly.
Kneebone weren't really the issue, to be fair. That was more the defence I was putting up against Mirko. After I must apologise after coming out of the pit. I totally missed my brakes because he put me totally off. So, yeah, that was that incident. So I'm probably going to get docked a few places anyway. So I can only apologise for that. But Kieran had great pace. To be fair, I was driving around thinking, there's no way Kieran's going 60 minutes without making a mistake. But clearly he did, and just didn't make that little mistake to let me put the pressure on him.
Well, nonetheless, another podium to your name, a P2 to your name, and a great start to the season for you and your teammate, who finished in the top 5 in the feature as well. So that should put SimPlay Racing back towards the top. Not sure where exactly yet, but back towards the top, starting where you left off last season. So great start to the season for you, Gary. And thoughts on Brands next week, night race?
Brands, British track. Hopefully, now I've had a little session in the car, I kind of know what it's going to do for next week. I like the British circuit, so yeah, hopefully we can get some more teams for the point and try and regain our title. And I'd just like to say well done to Kieran as well.
Well, that is all for you this week. A great drive from yourself. Hopefully some more next week, and some great battles on track up and down the field, especially the ones you were involved in. So hopefully more next week. With that being said, go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say nothing.
Matt,
would you like to do the
I would.
P1 interview?
I would indeed. Before we get into that P1 interview, I am just going to run through the tables very quickly. It is Mirko Ricci who is on top, at 19 points clear of Sam Greaves, tied second place with, and pinch me because I must be dreaming, Kieran Argent. Steve Millington is fourth from Michael Johnson in fifth. He's tied with Gary Leach. Sam Williams is down in seventh from Wolski. Tanner Kneebone is ninth from Lino, Stardog, Nuke Waste, Hunt, De Block, Old Sim, Sturrock, Unsworth, Flores, Lee, Williams, Drolander, Betterson, and then Brian Craig. Cummins, Gabino and Taylor yet to get a race underway. And Page leads by a point. Now, I have to go on. I have to get the results onto SimGrid before I can find out the fastest laps of bronze. So at the moment, provisionally, Page leads by a point from Cherry Moore, with Peckman only 4 behind in third. Malarex is fourth on 64. Then it's Neil Broom, a point ahead of Rob Smith, who is 4 clear of Mark Tucker on 40. Privet is on 33 from Taylor on 19. Simcoe and Phil Atherton on 18 points. Best and Andrews haven't got going in that team's championship. It is SimPlay Racing on top once again at the moment. SimPlay and Forever Forward scored exactly the same amount of points in race 2, 146 points each, and that is the most points scored by any team this week. Race 1 it was 4Q with 134, but it's SimPlay who are 9 clear of Forever Forward in second place, 4Q are third, Greasy Bandits fourth, Richie's Course Team is fifth from Vanguard Racing Team, Cloud9 Racing, Infinity Racing Team, Pages Racing Team, the Balkan Sim Hub, Team GBR, Black and Blue Racing Team Merlo, Billy Nomets, FRL Racing, Mustang Alley Racing and Quantum Motorsport at the bottom. And Kieran Argent, Quantum who, I suppose, because that was the name it was going to be. It's Forever Forward, and it's, gone back to the old team, and it's back on top.
Yeah, I can't complain. I wasn't, like I say, wasn't expecting that at all. I'm lost for words in terms of the result. Yeah, that's not to say.
Cracking qualifying. P3 on the grid. I bet you kind of had flashbacks to last year when you put it on pole and thought, don't do what you did last season at Alton Park. But you just seemed to have good pace. You was catching Sam early on. That then seemed to drop off, and Sam seemed to pull away from you again. And you just seemed to control your pace out there tonight.
Yeah, with turn one, I managed to get up the inside of Richard Michelle Lamborghini and just managed to just fit behind Fam. I fed the Fam 10 minutes in. I'm not attacking you. I'm just fitting with you. Pull me along and get me away from the pack behind. And then 10, 12 laps to go, he pitted and I think, oh my God, what's going on? And yeah, couple of laps to go was a bit scary because back marker of not getting out of the way, but it paid off in the end.
It did pay off in the end. You must be delighted though with that race. You've had an up and down last season. You've been able to come back this season and have a pretty good first race and a good qualifying in race one. Obviously, they'll be just down to the one qualifying for the rest of the season, but you qualified strong in race two. You had a good, strong start to the second race. You must have been thinking of what everybody was going to say if you bottled it.
That did play on my mind like 2 laps to go when backmarker was literally holding me up, and I just see the time to Gary coming down like the second perfector, and I'm thinking, just get out of the way. I won't add the language I was saying in the background, but it was just one of them things. I think just blue flag for a whole second sector and just get out of the way.
Yeah. We move over to Brands Hatch next week, the first and only night race of the season. What's your thoughts around there?
It's going to be difficult being a night race, being majority one-sided corners, but it's the same for everyone. And just, get my head down and hopefully back up the result with another good result.
Indeed. Well, Kieran, congratulations on tonight. Well done, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
And I believe that is everybody in the commentary box done for an interview, if I'm correct, Langley. Yes, it is. Only us 4 in here. So, Driver of the Day has been picked. The Driver of the Day from the YouTube stream, from the audience, the virtual grandstand, has gone the way of Kieran Argent by 20% over Mirko Ritchie. So Kieran Argent is your fans driver of the day from the virtual grandstand. I have given mine to Cherry Moore and to Mirko Ritchie. Langley given his to Paige and Mirko Ritchie. And we return tomorrow night with myself back in the commentary box once more for the third time for the pros to take to the action of Hungaroring. What will happen on the grid now? Some changes in gold and platinum for drivers going up and down. Let's see what it will bring tomorrow night. As well, don't forget to tune in next week for the Who Darren Cup and Pro-Am for the only night race of the season at Brands. But from me, Langley, and the whole team,